I'll tell you about it when we go live, which I think we're almost live. I am just getting this live on Instagram right now. And yeah, we are. Okay, sweet. Cool. Woo. All right. So for anybody watching, welcome to another One Wild Doesn't Ask Us Anything. I'm Lisa Kastner. I'm the founder and executive editor of Running Wild and a slew of other things. I am here right now with Teehee, who is one of our fantastic acquisition editors, as well as one of our award-winning authors. And we are typically here with you guys on Wednesdays between 5 and 6 p.m. Pacific time, 8 and 9 p.m. Eastern time. And now we have the phantasmagorical Ben.
Good evening.
Good evening. Another of our amazing acquisition editors and authors and straight up editors. And I was just going to say that starting next week, we will actually go back to Thursdays. Now, my question though, because maybe I should wait till Peter gets here. I think we were just going to do this same time, right? 5 and 6 between 5 and 6 p.m. Pacific time, or did we want to go back to? Okay, yeah, that's cool. That's easier for me.
5 your time. Well, here's Peter now. Let's ask him.
All right, cool. Hey, okay, awesome. So Peter, we were just talking about the fact that starting next week we are going back to Thursdays, but between 5 and 6 p.m. instead of. Is that okay? Or
yeah, that's better.
Okay, cool. All right, good. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, because that honestly that works better for me too. I'm in the throes of a program that's about to get really hot, and so I have a sneaking suspicion I'm going to need that extra hour. So anyway, whatever. So Teehee and I were just talking about so Teehee's like, oh my God, so much has gone on. So that just means you've got to spill your guts now, right?
Yeah, some things are not public, okay. So I'll just say my day job, but I accepted a position as the acting executive director of a nonprofit organization. So,
woo!
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you. In addition to acquisitions director here at Rise. But it's a lot of work. Being an executive director is hard. But I'm sure you know, as like a president and CEO.
Oh, I mean, honestly, so it's so funny. I was talking to someone who's also, she's retired, a former executive. And I know that when you're in a tactical role, like you've got a lot of things going on, like day to day, it seems like, what the hell do these executives do? All they do is walk around acting fancy, right? And then when you're in a role like that, it's so much of it. It's managing personalities. It's managing, I mean, by the end of the day, especially if you're an introvert, which I am naturally an introvert, you are effing exhausted because you just spent all day forcing yourself to play nice about stuff that really you just want to say, look, stop being a jackass, right? And then, in theory, the whole world is fine again, but you can't do that.
Yeah. I manage everyone on staff. So I regularly, Mondays and Tuesdays, I am either on Zoom or phone calls for 6 to 7 hours straight without a break.
Yeah, that sounds right. So,
which is, and it's I can't get anything done because I'm in meetings all the time.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, exactly. So then that's why you're working until 10 o'clock at night, because to get the stuff done, that was a result of all the meetings. Yep.
But now I have an assistant, and thank God, because my assistant does a lot of my work now because there's no time for me to do any of it.
Aww. And I was going to say, I'm honestly, before you guys came on, he's like, how are you doing? I am so tired right now. So guys, if I babble, I apologize. One of my oldest friends, I've known her since I was 2 years old, according to family's lores, that she invited me to go to karaoke. She goes every Tuesday night. And I thought, oh, that'll be fun. Yeah, I'll totally do it. Well, you combine like traffic and everything. I think I mean, I left there at like a little after 9:00. I didn't go to bed till like 11:00, and I normally go to bed at like 9. So I am so tired right now. I think it's that, and I also had to do a lot of play nice, like we just described today. So I'm kind of like in the goofy zone right now. So anyway, so Peter, how are you doing? How is your week so far?
Week's going well. I mean, got back from the other coast a couple of days ago. Things are going well. I mean, I am not an executive or a president or CEO yet, but that is in the future. So I will know what meeting hell is. I remember what meeting hell used to be like in my other jobs.
Yeah.
To say, a meeting missed is time well spent, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh my God. You should, whenever I make sure that my meetings, we just take care of what you absolutely have to take care of and then give people time back. There are some people who get so excited. Like, oh my God, you mean I can go and like eat something? And it's like 2:00 in the afternoon. Like they're clearly just like dying. I'm like, yes, go. Like, don't be here.
I love canceling meetings. That's like my new favorite thing of like, does this need to be a meeting or can this be an email thread? Because if it can be an email thread, let's just do that. And we don't even have to get on Zoom. But now I'm trying to like, if I have any sort of meeting, if it's just me and one other person or just 2 other people, phone call. I'm like, we're going to do old school 3-way calling. Like we're like 90s teenagers, like in our parents' basement. So that you're not like stuck to the computer, so you can like get up and like make lunch and like eat your lunch and like
right.
So much better.
So do you got? Well, I don't know. I was actually having this conversation about like, in the 80s and 90s, we used to do like we were on the phone constantly as teenagers, right? And now I almost never have a phone call. Do you guys like associate, or is it like? Is this like a girl thing? I don't know. You're so quiet. It's like, I'm just going to sit here and stare at her until she stops babbling. So it's just fine. It's fine.
I'm curious to see what comes next. So I'm here with popcorn.
So Ben, so what are you up to? How is your week?
It's good. We're wrapping up a semester. This is the last week of the semester, and those are always good.
Excellent.
But that's the good news. The bad news is I started a 3-week class on Monday.
Oh, wow.
Those are good too, though, because they're really fast. It's a 15-week class scrunched down into 3 weeks.
Wow.
Jump in and hang on. Here we go.
Do you have a class every day, or?
It's online, so I'll log in every day, but the students find a way around that.
Okay.
Because they have the weekends. They've got 2 weekends that helps.
Got it. Okay. Wow. Woo. And I just realized, for anyone who's watching this and you're like, who are these 4 people babbling? Or at least the one crazy redhead. This is a weekly get together called Run Wild with Us, Ask Us Anything. And we're all acquisition editors for Running Wild and all the imprints associated with it. And that includes Running Wild, Rise, Monstrous, Trompe L'oeil. You can kill me later. Trompe L'oeil. Oh, good. We've got the Florida accent going. We'll see if I can do it in my Jersey accent later. And then we also have Monstrous Books, but Monstrous actually it's all acquisitions that handle outside of the other 4. Anyway, we are here to answer any questions you guys may have. Actually, any questions you guys may have. Usually we get questions around publishing, editing, the craft of writing. But seriously, you really can't. The other day, someone was like, Lisa, why do you wear black all the time? And I was like, I intentionally wore a red shirt just for you. And today I'm wearing an old school. Well, it's not really old school, but it's basically the first time Batman meets the Joker, and he's got he's in a free jokes, and Batman's like, I don't understand. Which, if you're a comic nerd, it completely epitomizes both of their personalities, and it's like, yes, that's it. So anyway, so if you do have a question, just go ahead and toss it into the comments section of whatever venue you are watching this. And know that how this works is you put in your question, I then repeat it, and then we take turns in responding to it. And if you're watching this and you're like, oh my God, I totally missed it, it's just a recording, that is so completely fine. It's not a thing. Still put your question into the comments section, because we actually do check throughout the week to see if we have more questions, and we'll go back and we'll respond to them in the subsequent week. Cool? Cool. Awesome. Okay, so we don't have any questions yet. How about you guys? Do you have anything that you want to talk about, or questions for each other?
I got a submission to Trompe l'oeil from one of my previous authors, Arnold Bollmeyer, submitted a new novel. So I'm excited to check that out. That's really cool. He was a fun author to work with. So, so I'm looking forward to our next acquisitions editor session to see which novels we can pick out, and which novels will go with which press. I mean, this is exciting. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, what's really cool too is this gives everyone an opportunity that, if there's a piece that you're, you may have said, I think I'm into it, and no one else was. You've got your own imprint now, so you can just tell us to screw off and go do whatever you want. Well, you know what I mean. Not anything you want.
Well,
there are limits.
That's Ben's phrase. We need to come up with our own phrase.
Well, that's true.
I feel like I'm still in the slush pile for Rise's short story anthology. So if anybody is listening and you think it might be too late to submit a short story to the anthology, it's not. I'm still reading through all the submissions. It takes a while. I actually bought a tablet so I can do this mobily, so I can be on the beach and reading.
That's smart.
Right?
Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So guys, as you just heard, you've got time now. Also know that our acquisition, and now I can't remember, but our acquisition session, I've been telling everybody it's probably not going to be until September, October. We actually, as a group, decided it would be in, the next one's actually in June. I think sorry, my it's taking my calendar's taking a little while to load. Man, I can't speak today. It's actually fun.
The plane is full, so we can't do that. So we have to wait till he gets back.
Yeah. We were going to meet in May. So this is actually a funny, interesting story. So I'm going to be on vacation in Greece because my friend won an all-expense-paid trip to Greece in a silent raffle for I think $500. And we've traveled a lot together. Lisa, her, Jenny. She knows that we travel really well together. We're both really laid back travelers. So she was like, come with me. So we just had to pay for our airfare, and then we're going to be in Greece for 5 days.
Nice.
Wow. Guys, was it June 4th we agreed to for this? I can't remember. Do you remember? I'm sorry.
You gave us a date range. Nobody really came up with a date.
It was the first week of June, though, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yep. All right. Well, guess what? It's going to be June 4th because I'm too tired. Boom.
It was going to be June 4th.
What is?
I hoped it was going to be June 4th.
Oh wait, you know what? Maybe it's not. Never mind. It's not. Well, I'll be in Puerto Vallarta, and I got my hotel. Yay! So no, we can do that. We can. Yeah. Sorry.
So you're going to be in Greece. She's going to be Puerto Vallarta. What the hell, Ben? I mean,
well, Puerto Vallarta
behind the Globetrotters here.
I'm going to sit in the driveway.
Puerto Vallarta is our proof of concept for a new writer's retreat, Running Wild writer's retreat. And so I'm just going a day early, just so that I'm not too terribly jet lagged for the actual retreat itself. But the concept was that we would do this, see how it goes, and then next year we'd ask you guys if you wanted to be a part of it as well. So, yeah.
We're all nodding our heads, yes.
Yeah, you're like, yes, of course we do. Rodney asks, so what's your biggest red flag in a manuscript like, nope, I'm out energy? Do you prefer a perfectly polished story with safe choices or a messy one with bold, risky ideas? I am going to start with Teehee.
I mean, ideally, you want like a perfectly polished story with bold, risky ideas. Like, because it's both the safe choices and the messiness that are kind of turnoffs. I think if I get to a point within reading something after like a page or two where I feel like I already know what's going to happen, and then I continue reading and what I thought happened in a way that's not like surprising or refreshing, that's bad. There needs to be some element of surprise. And for me, actually, the main thing is just like, how excited am I to continue reading after like a page or two? If like after 2 pages, you're like, I just really don't want to read this anymore. And then you're like, well, it's probably bad. But after like 2 pages, if you're like, oh, I'm really into this, this is so exciting, then you're like, okay, well then it's probably good.
Yeah, that's fair. Peter, what do you think?
I love it when pieces arrive polished because they generally don't. I look for tension. I look for something that pulls me into the story. And there's some that pull me in with the first couple sentences, and there's some that pull me in with the last couple paragraphs in the first chapter that just yank me in, and I just can't stop reading. I just got to know what happens, and I try to predict what's going to happen, and hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully I find out that it's a surprise. It's something I hadn't expected. Of course, bold, risky writing is good because we can fix that. And by fix that, I don't mean change it, water it down. I mean, fix it to a point where it's readable. It's still bold, but it's still readable for the reader. They're not going to lose them in experimental fiction or experimental CNF, that kind of thing. But it's got to keep my interest. Like, if I like something, I'm going to read 4, 5, 6, 10 pages of it. If I'm still liking it, I'll bounce through the manuscript and see if they keep it up. Because everybody knows workshops polish the first 10, 20 pages. What's the novel look like after that kind of thing? And the same goes if I don't like something. I'm like, oh, what the heck? Maybe it gets better. And sometimes it does. But, usually, you're going to know within the first 5 to 10 pages whether you've got something worth reading or not. Yeah. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. What do you think, Ben?
I think that nope, I'm out energy comes from the incongruency of scenes, or so the scene that had a clear shot from the hill into the town, and then they had to walk through all the trees. I said, no, because you messed up one scene, it makes me doubt or makes me think that there's going to be other scenes that just need that extra work. So I think that's the messy one without the bold, risky ideas is what we probably see more of. But I think we all look for the good stories and the characters that hook you in. So if it's character driven, I look for dialogue. Does the dialogue sound right? And is it for the time period? Is it for the tension that should be there in the story? And the other thing, if you're having a piece take place in another century, make sure it's right, because that if it's not, I'll bring up my nightmare story about the women Iraq veterans who were hanging out with the Vietnam veterans in 1972. No, they weren't. And so it's got to be it's got to be true. It's got to be real. Unless you just this is a time travel story. That's fine, but the one I'm thinking of was not a time travel story. It was just
Doctor Who is cool.
Yes.
No.
I agree I agreed. I think there's something there about like just bad dialogue. Like bad dialogue is a really early indicator of like, oof, like is this gonna get better? Is it not gonna get better? If it doesn't feel like natural and real to those characters, I feel like also there's like places where like the dialogue is overly formal. Like in a world that takes place in our reality in our current time, should also the characters should sound like they live in our time. Yeah, and so like when that gets off, I'm like, oof.
It's interesting. Like I think you can tell. Well, I you know, like I'm gonna say I disagree, but I do agree with all the points made. I mean, what it comes down to is if I pick this up and I start reading it, am I engaged? Am I excited about it? And even if there are flaws to it, if these are flaws that I can see a path to solving them and working with the author on it, and I believe that this is an author who will work with me on it, like this won't be a fight, right? Then and we've had those, right? We've had some who, I mean, they were gorgeous. It was gorgeous writing, but there were those incongruities or inconsistencies or, you know, parts to the work that, you know, it just made you like, and you'd even point out to the author, hey, you know, this is beautiful, and understand that, you know, this on page 121 completely took me out of the story. Let's talk about how we can resolve this. And the author's like, well, no, it's perfect. Yeah.
Sorry.
So, you know, and we've all encountered that, right? That's why you've got these smiles and giggles, right? We've all encountered that. So at some point. So really, I'm looking like I want you to bring forward the best piece you absolutely can where you are today, right? I want to know, and I want it to be obvious to me that you have actually taken the time to work on your writing. And this isn't just something that you came up with when you woke up and for the first time in your life and you said, you know what, I want to write an epic fantasy. Like, okay. And understand that the people you admire who wrote epic fantasies, they were writing those for years. They didn't just wake up one day and you know, regurgitate this massive, you know, tome. Like it just did. That's not. There's a lot of revision. There's a lot of self work, in anything. So, I mean, even we've had a few memoirs where the author later would come back and say, "Oh, I actually knocked that out in like, you know, 3 months." And I'm like, "Yeah, but you mentally were working on it for years." And it was like, "Well, yeah, okay. Guess what? That counts." You know. So it really just comes down to if when we get it, not only am I, do I know that this is your best effort, but I'm engaged, I'm involved in it, I'm not getting bored, and that if there are, you know, massive flaws or thematic flaws, I'm not sitting here saying, okay, I don't know how to solve this. I need to know that it's something that we can work on. I already know at least a couple of different solutions for it. Or, well, and actually, I know that this is someone who's going to be willing to work with us on it. So that was a great question, Rod. Thank you. Cool.
I think there's well, actually, it was a conversation I had with Tom Milazzo when I was editing The Faith Machine. And we started talking about dialogue. And he mentioned something, you know, we shouldn't change dialogue. And, you know, I was the editor, so I said, yes, we can. No, I didn't. But it's something I remember because the author has the characters' voices in their head. So it's a good point. Leave dialogue alone, whether it's, you know, you try to slide in a comma to slow them down. That's maybe a conversation, but it's really the dialogue should be able to be left alone because it's ringing true in the author's head.
Yeah.
And the characters are speaking. And so Yeah, but if you see that where it's not clean and the dialogue comes across like a Dostoevsky novel, and evidently Russians speak for hours at a time before they let anybody else talk, it's an issue that needs to be addressed and talked, because he's right. It's got to be right for the scene. It's got to be right for the time. It's got to be right for the people, the characters.
Well,
Right.
and
And
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, and that like different characters need to sound different in dialogue. Like if I'm reading a manuscript and I can't distinguish the characters through their dialogue, if everyone is talking exactly the same, that's not great, right? Like dialogue is such a great, I love dialogue too, but it's such a great way to like actually just paint your character directly on the page. And like everyone should sound unique and different and have their own kind of like style to how they go about it, because we all do.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, if you can hear the characters talking in your head, I mean, that's a leg up on anything. I mean, you put that down verbatim,
Right.
and you go with it and see what you can do with it. I mean,
Yeah.
if we're talking, yes, you're part crazy, but there's a reason for it.
Well, and I think to go back to a point that Ben had made, as well as, you know, it has to also be true to the time period. So, you know, I was asked to be one of the judges for and you know, one of the big awards in indie publishing, and the author, one author, I mean, his cover was all about how like he's an archaeologist and a researcher and he knows all about this time period and blah 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 blah. So, you know, it's all authentic. And this was set in ancient Greece, and all of the characters were using slang and contractions. Well, guess what? In ancient Greece, they didn't use contractions. Contractions were an invention of the Welsh in, I believe, the 1800s, at least in written form. So, you know, I'm not saying that, I mean, that's actually how new words are oftentimes created, is because it's some kind of concatenation of other terms, right? But, you know, the fact that this guy went out of his way for like a 2-page cover letter about why he knows everything and therefore everything within the book is correct. And then that was like so glaringly obvious. It was like, okay, look, I can't do this, you know, like it doesn't matter how much the rest of the details of this are accurate. The fact that you're having like, you know, a Roman emperor saying, I can't go there. And hello, that's a modern, at least minimally 1990s terminology. There's no way, right? And this wasn't a farce, by the way. To him, this was historical fiction. So
Did anybody use the word dude?
Or y'all.
Y'all.
look, y'all.
It's the southern part of Greece.
That's awesome. But I mean, you know, all points and kind of going back to the whole, like, if you hear the characters in your head, you know, just write it down. Also, don't be shocked if then when you go back to read it, to do revisions, you realize it also needs to be revised, right? Because we oftentimes will speak with like, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. So, and although in your head that sounds natural, if you do it repeatedly in written dialogue, it actually can be really monotonous for the reader. And you realize that when you go back and you read your own work. Same thing with slang, same thing with, you know, you want to have it enough that it gives you the flavor and the essence of the character and the way they speak, but not so much that you're alienating your audience. So, at least that's what I was taught. So I don't know. Cool. Wow. We're already at 5:30. Jesus. So I know, right? So anyone who's watching, don't forget, if you have a question for any of us about anything, just go ahead, toss it into the comments section. And also, as a heads up, we're also going to log off 5 minutes early because Teehee and I will be hosting a storyteller's happy hour where we basically just get drunk and tell, you know, tall tales. that we both try and pretend aren't real. But if anyone actually asks us, it's probably all true. And so I have mimosas that I'm going to be having, and I have to actually get them. So
yeah, I'm gonna probably be drinking. This will be wild. So I'm either gonna be drinking gin just straight on the rocks or tequila. So I didn't have time to pick up beer.
So you may, if you have really good gin for the writers retreat, you may need to bring that with you, just as a heads up.
Yeah, I have good gin, but I don't think it's gonna survive this week.
Well,
it's almost gone.
I'm curious, what tequila do you drink, though? What tequila do you drink?
So I will drink anything. I do like Don Julio's. I also live in Mexico, so like you got
good stuff.
Yeah, and even like the name brand stuff, like when they ship it to the United States, they're not shipping their best. Like,
right.
That's
so
fair.
like Don Julio's tastes a little different down here than it does up there. 1800. What is the other one? Oh crap! I don't want to sound like I'm bad at Spanish, so I'm not even going to say that one. But my favorite is this mezcal that you can only get in the town of Tequila. Tequila was named after the town of which it was invented. And there's a bunch of like really small startup like micro distilleries in tequila. There's a women-owned one that's called Tres Mujeres, 3 Women Mezcal. And that mezcal is amazing.
Really?
Amazing. Yeah.
Okay.
So good. The depth, the smokiness is like, and you can't even get it in stores here in Mexico. Like you have to actually just go to the town and find them and buy it directly from them.
Okay. How about your gin? What's your favorite gins? Or what are your favorite gins?
I'm still learning gin, so I can't even see what kind of gin I have. I'll go check.
While he's checking, so Ben and Peter, what are your favorite imbibements?
Oh, come on, Ben.
I'm an iced tea guy.
Iced tea?
Iced tea's as hard as I go.
He had all his drinking in those Coast Guard days.
Not even.
No?
I spent 2 years in Germany and didn't even I've never tasted beer.
No way. Wow.
I thought you said I spent 2 years in jail and I haven't touched it since.
I know, that's what I thought.
It's a better story.
You always make my story sound so much better, Peter.
So, Peter, how about you?
I wish I'd said that.
Huh?
I like vodka.
Okay.
I like Absolute. I sip on Absolute. But Grey Goose and Kettle One are really good. I like a good tasting vodka. I like to taste the vodka. I don't use any mixers. Maybe some simple syrup, but I like the vodka straight.
Got it. All right. So now, Teehee, what do you have?
What's the gin? Wilder?
It's Wilder gin. Yeah, this is California distilled.
Like Gene Wilder?
I guess so. No, it's from Ventura County. It looks like it's just like wandering countrymen here on the label.
A Yeti or something in there.
Yeah. Wilder gin is distilled with wild harvested native California botanicals, including sagebush, purple sage, bay laurel, Yoruba, Santo, blah, blah, blah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's the gin I'm drinking. And then the tequila that I'm drinking these days is Mayorazgo. This comes from the highlands of Jalisco, so pretty close to the town of Tequila. And it's really good.
Okay.
Full disclosure, my boyfriend who lives with me is a private chef, so these are all gifts that tourists of his clients have like given him. As opposed to like cash tips. Sometimes they just will like give him bottles of liquor.
Does he know you're drinking his stash?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Put water in
awesome.
there after you have some.
It's actually taken me a while to get, because I had to go through all the wine that we had. Like we had so much bottles of wine, and I was like, all right, let's just go through it. There's not enough counter space for all the liquor and the wine.
All
We
the
have, like,
sacrifices you make.
yeah.
I know, right? Oh,
Good for you.
It's
Oh
fun
my
problems to have.
right.
So yeah,
Uh,
so what's up with the
go ahead.
conference? I forget what's going on with the conference. The
Oh,
writers conference.
so the writers retreat. I just put a link to the Eventbrite that we had for it.
Cool.
Because Don McIntyre asked about it too. It's actually going to be the weekend of June 5th. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And the reason I posted this is it is actually at an incredible spa that we have booked the entire spa. So it is all about Running Wild's retreat for that entire weekend.
Awesome.
And I think we said 20 pages, right?
Yep.
So it's a nice intimate group for the first time around. And so Teehee and I are going to co-lead it. And what we'll basically do is, every day we'll have a few hours where we're basically reviewing the person's piece and in like a group session. And then have in the afternoon, like an opportunity to just have free form questions around craft or, writing or what have you. So it's nice and intimate for those who are in attendance and very focused on what their specific needs are. And then in the afternoon / evening, because this is actually close to where Teehee lives, he's going to basically take us to his recommended locations in the area so that we can, kind of like hang out and explore Puerto Vallarta.
Cool.
And depending on my boyfriend's work schedule, because he's a private chef at a luxury Airbnb, but if he's off, I'm going to also see if he can cook for us one day.
Ooh. Oh, I'm so upset.
So that'll be fun. But yeah, Don, there's still time. If you are interested, please hit those links. We still have room. The boutique, I've actually stayed there before when my family came down to visit me in Puerto Vallarta. The view is amazing. You really don't have to leave the spa if you don't want to, but I mean, you should, but it's great. It's got everything there. There's a little restaurant in there, multiple hot tubs and jacuzzis and pools and all of that. And the design is really great. The rooms are very spacious. But also you should check out Puerto Vallarta because it's fun.
And I'm about to put in the chat a link to the actual spa, to their site, so you can see directly like everything that's included in the spa. And it is actually literally a spa. I mean, it's pretty fabulous. So, and I would be fine with just chilling out there like the whole time. But I am curious as to, the home that Teehee claims. So
I'm going to try to think of some fun things for us to do.
Wow, these are great questions.
Yeah, there's a lot of great bars and stuff. I'm becoming more of a snob about restaurants. Huh? Oh, I couldn't hear you.
You do karaoke, right?
Yes, my favorite karaoke place closed.
Do you like doing karaoke?
Yeah, okay. My favorite karaoke place closed. So I have to go to my second choice karaoke place that I don't really care for. But I'm trying. I do not like that karaoke DJ guy, and he does not like me.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, guys, we only have 15 minutes left. So again, if you have any questions, and Don, if you can't sign up, or anybody, if you want to join us and for the getaway, for the writers retreat, you can actually message me on Facebook and we'll hook you up. But the Eventbrite link will at least give you the details in terms of costs and stuff like that. Yeah. So other than that, By the way, we also brought in some interns to go over our submissions. They are doing an amazing job. I mean, really, really, and they all come from very different backgrounds, which is even more cool, right? So you kind of get slightly different perspectives, but they are very good at assessing creative writing. It's actually pretty awesome. So,
Yay!
And when we have our acquisition session, you'll have an opportunity to see those their comments, because part of the job was not just, thumbs up or thumbs down. It was, okay, so now tell me why, right? And we gave the guidance in terms of like readability, and is it a great story and all that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to our next acquisition session. I think it'll be pretty fabulous.
Heck yeah. It'll be my first one since I'm new.
Yeah. Well, Ben and Peter beat everyone up, so you'll just have to like
blood in, blood out.
Exactly. No, not really. None of us are like that.
It's more like collateral damage when Peter and I start fighting.
Yeah, pretty much. The arguments, the literary insults, they just
The Shakespearean references.
exactly.
Yes. Of course. Oh,
Dostoevsky dialogue,
yeah. And if anybody is in the Los Angeles area this weekend, we actually will be at the LA Times Festival of Books. We will be in booth or tent 200. It's near the poetry. I guess there's a poetry booth or something. But anyway, and we will be there Saturday and Sunday. And what we're going to be doing is I have stacks and stacks of our books that we are going to actually be selling for $10 per book. And all proceeds will be going to the Habitat for Humanity for the greater Los Angeles area. So really, really super excited about that. I'm really looking forward to that. So definitely come by, check us out, say hi, and, pick up a couple of books. So cool.
Yay.
Yay. All right.
Let's remind Dawn that we're moving back to Thursday, because Dawn was the reason. She finally figured out we were on Wednesday, so we had to change and move it back to Thursday just for Dawn. You're welcome, Dawn.
So yeah,
I don't know. I'm not sure if she was on when we mentioned it before.
Yeah, Dawn. So actually, that's a great point for anybody who's watching and you weren't watching previously. We are going to be moving back to our standards. Well, not really to our standard, but to Thursdays at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern time, starting next week. So you can still, check us out in the recording sessions. It's all good, right? Whatever.
8 p.m. Eastern time. 8 p.m. Eastern.
8 p.m. Eastern. Sorry. Thank you. Yes, 8 p.m. Eastern. And Dawn's like, yeah, I heard that.
I just wanted to make sure that you knew that it's because you got used to Wednesdays that we moved it, because that's how we are.
Yeah, that is. It's all for you. So I have a question. So, what was your most embarrassing moment? And it can be literary based or not, like ever.
Where did that come from?
Why not? I'm trying to sleep anyway.
Are we practicing for our storytelling happy hour?
No, why not? We're like greasing the skids, right? We're like getting ready.
I have to think, because I feel like I embarrass myself all the time. So like, when am I not embarrassing myself?
My most recent insert foot in mouth disease, as I like to call it, I was one of the speakers at the Superstars of Writing conference in Colorado. And the guy who sponsors it is Kevin J. Anderson. And Kevin J. Anderson, for anyone who doesn't know, has all these amazing series, but he's also the person who's primarily revived Dune. And he's written a bunch of additions to the original 3-book, the original trilogy. And we were, doing your standard, as we like to call it, BarCon, where you basically hang out and drink, with other writers and such. And I'm standing there with Kevin J. Anderson, Jonathan Mayberry, myself, and I think there was one other person. And I was on like my, I don't know, maybe second martini or something. And Kevin says something like, "So what are your thoughts on the latest Dune?" Right? Like snicker. And I had just seen it before going to the conference. And this was Dune 1, not the latest Dune 2. And I saw it in Burbank. Now, for those who aren't familiar, Burbank, California is actually like kind of the hub of where all the studios are. So Warner Brothers is there, Universal is there, meaning like the lots themselves, and if they're not physically in Burbank, they're like a quick drive away. So I saw it in a theater in Burbank. So I'm in there with all these, like entertainment industry people. And at the end of Dune 1, everyone just kind of looked like, what the fuck? Like there was no ending. It was just one big setup, right? And so I said, well, I didn't say it that way. I was like, oh, it just felt like one big setup. And for half a second, he looked like, what? And I was like, ooh, yeah. So, and then my friend Jonathan jumps in. He's like, she didn't mean that. She's talking about something completely different. And I'm like, no, I meant it. Like, yeah, that's exactly how it came across. So that was my more recent, maybe not most recent, but my more recent insert foot and mouth disease moment. So you guys don't ever do things like that? You never like
all the time. I'm surprised I have friends.
Right? I know. Me too. Yeah.
So as an executive director, I now have to talk to funders and ask them for like large dollar amounts of money. So last week I was on a call with the funder. As soon as I get on Zoom, she's like, "Oh my God, T, it's been years. How are you doing? Blah, blah, blah." And I have no recollection of who this person is. And so I have to just like, I'm like, "Oh my God, it's so great to see you too." Read screen and like say their name. And then fake for like an hour, like a really like close, good friend.
Wow. Oh boy. Now, did you look her up later? Like, were you like, okay, why? I don't know.
It was a perspective meeting. So like if she's interested in giving us money and other people on my staff will like fill this out, we might have another meeting. We might not. It was a very early kind of thing. And I'm like, I hope so. It took me a good 2 days for me to remember. And it's not that like, it's not a fully fleshed memory, but I now remember where I met her, which unfortunately was a conference where you meet like hundreds of people. Really...
Wow.
So that was bad.
All right. So now, Ben, you've got to give it up.
Okay. So there I was.
There I was. Okay.
I was stationed in New Orleans for 6 years. And the first 4 years, I traveled a lot. Mm-hmm. And every time we would fly back into New Orleans, it was always with tourists, usually on a Friday night coming down to New Orleans. And we'd touch down and they'd all say, "Whoa, New Orleans, New Orleans, woo." And so I started thinking that was like airplane culture. So the next time I went anywhere, we flew and we touched down and I went, "Whoa, Newark, yeah." And I was the only one. I looked around and everybody else was saying, "Yeah, idiot." That was really kind of my introduction to airplane culture in New Orleans. You can believe it or not.
I like it. That works.
The only person excited to be in Newark in the history of New Jersey.
Yeah, that's one.
All right, Peter, you got to give it up, man.
Well, it was a dark and stormy night. That's all I got. I'm solo. When I screw up or do stupid shit, nobody's around to witness it. Except my wife. She's got plenty of stories, but she's not here, so there's no proof.
Aw, man.
Yeah.
Fine.
Trying to think of my old, teaching days, but no, I got nothing.
Nah. Okay.
Well, you guys are both always invited to our storytelling happy hour. It's kind of just like that, actually, except for with some alcohol. It's really, really crazy stuff.
and like little prompts that we tend to get to eventually after we're done sharing incredibly embarrassing situations. So just, which reminds me, like, so last night at the karaoke bar, I can tell that it's all just regulars because I walked in and like the whole room was
like Newark.
Like there were people playing pool in the back of the bar. And like when I walked in, they literally stopped and like stared at me for a minute. And I was like, and I just kind of like made my way to the bar and I just sat down and I was like, I'm just gonna sit here until the bartender comes over. And I'm like texting my friend. I'm like, so I'm here now. Like, whenever, and then she's like, I'll be there in like 6 minutes. I'm like, oh, okay. So that wasn't an embarrassing moment. It was just one of those where it's like, did I just enter like the Lost Boys movie or something? Like one of those films where it's like, you're an outsider because everyone makes sure you're an outsider.
When my favorite karaoke place closed, like so many people told me at once, like I thought that like, when your phone goes off and you think that like someone has died or like some like, huge earth changing event is going on, like a 9/11 or something. Cause like all the notifications and people are reaching out to me. And it's because I was basically the only person keeping that business afloat. Like I had never seen anyone else at this karaoke bar.
Oh, wow.
Like ever. That's why it was my favorite, because I could get up and sing and it didn't matter if I was good or bad, because it was just like, it was me and the bar owner. At one point he had staff, but he couldn't afford staff anymore. So it was just me and him. And he's just like, drink more. And I'm like, I'm the only customer. So then when it closed, everybody's like, oh no, this is T's place.
Wow.
I miss it though.
Well, on that note, we are gonna end this session because I don't see any more questions, and Teehee and I need to go get prepared for our next Storytellers Happy Hour, which will be 6 minutes from now. So with that, as always, Dawn, what is wrong with my speech today? Well, I mean, I know what's wrong with it, but anyway, Dawn, Rod, always a pleasure. Everyone watching, thank you so much for joining us. And we will see you guys next week, but on Thursday. Cool. Okay.
Yay.